If you never change your mind, why bother having one? That friend that Jesus spoke about in today's gospel passage changed his mind. His initial answer to somebody knocking on his door in the middle of the night was, "Do not bother me. I am already in bed, and there is nothing I can do to help you." If this scene was taking place somewhere in America these days, he would probably have said, "Don't bother me. Remember, my friend, that God helps those who help themselves. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps." But then something happened, and he changed his mind. In the reading from the book of Genesis, we witnessed something stranger yet. It is God who changes God's mind. You see, after visiting Abraham's tent and being graciously welcomed and fed, like in a Polish wedding, three mysterious guests were on their way to Sodom, the original sin city before Las Vegas was established. The Jewish tradition tells us that those guests were God accompanied by two angels, while some Christian interpretations see in this ancient metaphor the most holy Trinity. One way or another, God had every intention to punish that city and destroy it as a warning for other sinners. But here enters Abraham with his skillful art of haggling. You would not destroy the entire city if there were 50 holy and innocent people living there, would you? Of course not, God answered. If I find 50 innocent souls in Sodom, I will spare the city from destruction. This kind of bargaining lasts for a while, like in a flea market or garage sale, and God finally changed his mind and agreed to spare the city, even if there are at least 10 innocent people living there. I bet by now you are itching to ask, what was that horrible sin of Sodom? Why was God so intent on destroying Sodom unless 10 innocent people were found there? There are still devout Christians who will answer this question without any hesitation or doubt. They will say, "Duh, it was obviously the sin of sodomy. Homosexuality is strongly condemned by the Bible," they say, "and since it was rampant in Sodom, therefore God had destroyed their city." Well, it's not that simple. Such an erroneous answer would mean that 99.9% of the population of Sodom and Gomorrah were LGBTQ people. Can you imagine a city where not even 10 straight people can be found? Even San Francisco cannot boast such proportions. Moreover, the biblical story gives us a clear and very different answer. having left Abraham's hospitable camp, the three visitors went to Sodom and stayed at Lot's place, who was Abraham's brother. Yet the citizens of Sodom, having learned that some illegal immigrants are in their city, came with torches and pitchforks to Lot's house and demanded that he let them rape his guests, and thus they would teach them a lesson that they do not belong here. But Lot viewed hospitality as a sacred obligation and offered his two virgin daughters instead. We should justly question the soundness of Lot's own ethics here, but it shows how seriously he took God's commandment to show hospitality to strangers and visitors. Thankfully, the angelic visitors disallow that offer and make clear that the only righteous action is to flee Sodom and not compromise with a city deemed for destruction. Prophet Ezekiel gave a clear explanation why Sodom was destroyed. In the 16th chapter of Ezekiel, verse 49, we read, "This was the sin of Sodom. She and her daughters were proud, sated with food, complacent in prosperity. Yet they did not give any help to the poor and needy." Now, both of us can easily think of cities and entire populations complacent in prosperity, not willing to extend a helping hand to the poor and needy. We can think of societies that would rather build higher walls than longer tables. Today, more and more churches have changed their minds and their stance on the place of the LGBTQ people in God's family. Most churches do not use the story of Sodom to justify the homophobia of previous generations, which makes me wonder, what else will we have to change our minds about? Amen.